welcome back to my channel. My name is Daphne and today we are doing a very exciting video. As you guys can see by the title, today we are doing 6 easy, budget-friendly, last-minute Christmas DIY gift ideas. So I feel like this Christmas season has been a very different Christmas season for probably most of us. Perhaps you're one of those who don't want to spend a lot of money buying Christmas gifts, but you still want to buy something for your loved ones. Perhaps you're one of those who order their gifts online and have yet to receive them. Perhaps you're one of those who always prefer to make more personalized gifts. And perhaps you're not even celebrating Christmas, and in that case, keep on watching because not all of these are Christmas themed. Now, you may be wondering, Daphne, why are you posting a Christmas gift idea video after Christmas? And that is because not everybody exchanges gifts on Christmas Day. For example, my sister and I are exchanging gifts on New Year's Eve. I know other people are exchanging gifts on New Year's Day, and other people are posting their gifts overseas to their family and friends. Also, what I love the most about these gifts is how little money I spent on making them. I think I spent literally €0 for at least 2 of them, and that's probably because I already had the supplies for other previous DIYs. But again, that also shows you how you can combine the different materials from different DIYs to create something easy and simple, but also beautiful, unique, and useful. Now, I know some of my family will be watching this video. If you're one of them, I'm sorry for ruining the surprise for you, but you're committing to this, so I suppose you could guess which one yours will be. So without further ado, let's get started into our DIY projects. For our first project, we are going to be making a variety of clay designs, and I'm going to start off with my personal favorite, the candle holder. Now, I was on Pinterest the other day. This is where I got my inspiration, and I found these beautiful ceramic matchstick holders selling for $38 on one side and $48 on another side, and I thought they were so incredibly beautiful but also so incredibly expensive, and I thought I could definitely try and create something similar for only a fraction of the price. And I actually decided to make a candle holder instead, just because I think you can never go wrong with a candle. I just love candles. So let's get to it. To make this, I am taking some clay and I am rubbing it between my hands to give it a rounded shape. You literally want it to look like and have the thickness of a sausage. And I'm taking a tea light candle and wrapping our clay around to measure how big I want my ring to be. I am cutting off the excess clay. And I do that 3 more times until I have a total of 4 pieces of clay. Then I am connecting the 2 edges, shaping it into a ring, and I'm also using a tea light candle as a guide while I'm creating my ring to make sure it's going to fit. And I am lightly pressing the edges together, adding water if I have to. You need to be a bit patient during this part if you want to create a smooth and seamless connection. And I'm pretty much doing the same thing 3 more times until I have a total of 4 rings, which I am going to stack on top of each other. And then I am creating the base for our tea light candle, for which I am rolling out some clay, and using the top ring as a guide, I am cutting a round piece of clay with my X-Acto knife and placing it between the first and second ring. This is where our tea light candle will be sitting on. Then I am doing the exact same thing, only this time I'm using the bottom ring as a guide because this is going to be our bottom for our candle holder. And once I cut it off, I'm smoothing out the edges and placing it just under the bottom ring and sort of connecting the edge of our base to the bottom ring by lightly pressing it in, adding water if I have to. And then I'm going to let it dry for a couple of days because I'm using air dry clay, and because it's actually quite thick, it might take a little bit longer to dry. So my recommendation is to use oven baked clay to speed up the process. I definitely would have, I just still have not found any oven baked clay in Cyprus. So if you do live in Cyprus and know where they sell some, please let me know in the comments. Also, the drying process is very important with air dry clay. You need to make sure you don't make the mistake I made and let your clay dry outside overnight because it can get very humid, and that may not only slow down the drying process but also completely ruin your clay project, as you guys will see later. So a few days later, when my candle holder is completely dry, I am taking some sanding paper and sanding off the rough edges to make it nice and smooth. And I actually really like the white color on it, so I'm just going to paint it white, and once it's dry, I'm adding some tiny splashes of black color with a thin brush, and I am doing that by wetting my brush with water, adding a little bit of a black color and tapping the brush on my index finger. Yes, it is going to get messy, but that's okay because it washes off very easily with water. And once it's fully dry, I'm applying some matte top coat, let it fully dry overnight, and look how beautiful it turned out for only a fraction of the price. For our next clay project, I am going to create a few dishes. The first two are the sun and the moon. And as you see, I have two circle-shaped hollow pieces of cardboard which were included in a packaging of something I had bought for my kitchen. And I tend to keep such shapes as well as cardboard because they seem to be very useful in DIYs. But in this case, you could use a plate too. And I am rolling out some clay and placing the two circles on the rolled out clay with a small circle touching the inside of the larger one. And first I'm cutting the outline of the larger circle with my X-Acto knife, and then the outline of the smaller circle, so that I have two pieces of clay, a half moon and a round circle, which is going to be our sun. I'm smoothing out the edges with some water, and then I'm rolling out some more clay to create a sort of walled outline for each piece. And I basically need a long line of about 2 centimeters wide that's going to hug the exterior of our dishes. And I'm using a ruler to make sure my lines are straight. I'm cutting a few pieces with my X-Acto knife, and I'm placing them around each dish. To connect the lines together, I am slightly pressing in and going in with a little bit of water. And again, just take your time here. And then let them fully dry for 1 or 2 days. And this is where I made my mistake and completely ruined the sun dish, because I let them dry outside thinking the wind would probably dry them quicker, but the humidity was so high the pieces would not stick together. And after a few days, although the clay was hard, in some areas there was a huge gap between the outline and the circle. So I went and did it again, and this time I put the clay to dry next to our wood stove, and that made a ton of difference. It dried in half the time. So when the 2 dishes were fully dry, I took some sanding paper to smooth out the edges, and then painted the moon a dark teal color inside and a gold color outside on the outline. And I did the exact opposite on the sun dish. I painted it gold on the inside and dark teal on the outside. I let it fully dry and then applied a matte top coat, which I let dry overnight. For our next two dish designs, I am using these IKEA Winter 2017 candles, which were actually given to us by Alex's aunt, who had them in her house for, I am guessing, 3 years, and are still in their original box. And I find them so beautiful and playful with their geometric design. And I'm keeping one of them, but I'm gifting the other two. So I want to create a dish for each candle where it can sit on, and once the candle is used, the dish can be used for another purpose. So to create that, I am rolling out some clay and I am placing each candle on the clay and slightly pressing it in to create our outline for the dish. Then I'm cutting the outline with an X-Acto knife about 1 to 2 centimeters wider than the outline I made with the candle. I'm smoothing out the edges and imperfections with some water using my fingers, and then I am rolling out some clay to make a few lines of about 2 centimeters wide that are going to sit on the exterior of our base, exactly like our sun and moon dishes. And here I am attaching the lines by pinching them together to create a more pointed edge, and once I was done with that, I turned my dish upside down and worked on connecting the bottom of the outline to the base. I let them dry for a couple of days, making sure I turn them upside down every now and then I smoothed the rough parts with some sanding paper and painted one of them this sort of terracotta color and the other this dark teal that was left over from the moon dish. Once they were dry, I added some white splashes on the terracotta dish by wetting a thin brush with water and adding some white paint and literally splashing white dots on it. And I'm also turning the dish sideways and upside down to make sure it's covered in white splashes. And where I saw it needed some more splashes, especially on the interior of the outline, I just went in with my brush and added some dots with no particular order. Then I decided to add some thick white lines on the surface of the dark teal dish and a continuous white line on the top of the outline. And to be honest, the idea just sort of popped into my head while I was doing it. I didn't have any specific design in mind. And once both dishes were dry, I added a layer of matte top coat and let it dry overnight, and that completes our dish projects. For our final clay project, I am going to create a cactus-shaped fridge magnet. So I am rolling out some clay, and with my X-Acto knife, I am creating a basic cactus design and smoothing out the edges with my X-Acto knife and my finger, and then letting it dry overnight. Once it's fully dry, I am giving it a coat of green color, and once that's dried too, I am going in with some gold color and making some details, a few vertical straight lines in the middle of the cactus and a few half moon shapes on each branch. And again, once it dries, I'm applying a matte top coat, which I am letting fully dry overnight. When the top coat is completely dry, I am adding a small dash of super glue on which I am placing the magnet and letting it dry for a while to finish off our clay fridge magnet. For this project, you will need a glass jar. I just reused a jar of peanut butter. I washed it and took the label off. And if you're one of the ones who can never remove all the glue, I feel you. I have been there too, until I discovered olive oil and baking soda. You just mix equal parts of olive oil and baking soda. I am mixing 4 teaspoons because I have 2 jars, and you apply the mixture on the glue residue. Let it sit for half an hour and then use a steel scrubber under hot water to remove the residue, wash it with soap, and voila, like brand new. So I am adding some dried oranges and rosemary. If you've never made them before, they're super easy to make. You just need to preheat your oven to 120 degrees Celsius set to fan. For the oranges, you need to cut slices of about 0.5 to 1 centimeters thick. Place the slices on a baking sheet, pat them with a kitchen towel to absorb any moisture. And for the rosemary, I think it's pretty straightforward. You just add the stems on a baking sheet and bake them for about 2.5 to 4 hours. So when they're ready, I'm just cutting them in half with my scissors so they fit in the jar, and I'm adding some cloves, a couple of cinnamon sticks, and some dried rosemary. Then I am taking the label maker and printing off our label Christmas tea. If you don't have a label maker, you could of course print it off a label or even write it down on a piece of paper and tape it. I am then making some reindeer antlers out of red card paper. I just free-handed this, and I am writing Merry on one antler and Christmas on the other. I am making a hole with a hole puncher on the top part of one of the antlers, and then I am wrapping some twine around the bottom of the lid and placing the twine through the hole. I am wrapping the twine one more time, and then I am adding some rosemary for the effect, and then making a bow to complete our Christmas tea jar project. Then whoever you gift it to can put the ingredients in a pot with some hot water and make a delicious tea. This project is so simple, and it's such a fun and easy way to reuse the pots that you're not particularly fond of. So I just took a couple of pots that I had in the house, I wiped them off with a damp cloth, and then starting from bottom to top, I wrapped around some rope, which I hot glued on the entire pot. And if you use all your rope and need to start with a new one, just make sure that all the ends are on the same side, so you use that as the back of the pot. Once finished, I am adding some hot glue on the exposed rope to secure the hairs. Then I'm going in with some tape, and I am taping the area I want to leave natural, and because it's quite large, I am covering the rest of it with a plastic bag. And here my initial thought was to spray paint the exposed area white, and I went ahead and applied 2 coats of spray paint on the rope as well as the inside of the pot, but the rope came out way lighter than I wanted it to be, so I went ahead and used some white wood paint to paint the top of the sprayed area, and it came out just perfect. When that dried down, I removed the tape and the plastic bag, and at this point you can add some dirt and a succulent and gift it as is, but I will be making a macrame plant hanger to finish it off, so let's go ahead and do that. For our macrame plant hanger, I'm not gonna lie guys, I watched a tutorial on YouTube and I'm going to link that down below for you because I'm really bad at explaining macrame tutorials. I barely even know the knots myself, but this one only uses 4 knots, and once you learn them it gets quite repetitive, so it's not difficult to make at all. So you will need a total of 40 meters macrame cord, and I think mine is about 3 millimeters thick, and you will need to cut it into 8 cords of 4 meters each and 2 cords of 1 meter each. Set the 8 cords together and fold them in half to find the center. Make a lark's head knot with the 1 meter cord. So fold it in half, pass it under the center of the 8 meter cords and bring it back over the 1 meter cord. Bring the ends through the loop and pull tight. Then extend the 8 strings as well as the 1 meter cord on one side, and we're going to work on the other 8 strings on the other side. So I used a little bit of tape on the cord I'm not using to hold it together. Now separate a cord on each side and make 8 square knots. To do this, hold the middle part straight, bring the left cord over the middle cords and under the right cord. Pull the right cord under the middle cords and through the number 4 created. Then do the exact opposite, so bring the right cord over the middle cords and under the left cord. Pull the left cord under the middle cords and through the number 4 created. Repeat the same another 6 times. Then untie the cords in the middle, turn it around and make another 8 square knots starting with the cord on the right side. Once that's done, I am passing through a curtain ring I got from the IKEA discount section. You can find these in craft stores, but it's not mandatory for this tutorial anyway. And fold our section in half and align the ends of the square knots. Make a gathering knot using one of the 1 meter cords. Make a loop leaving a short tail at the top. Using the long end, wrap it around the other cords from top down around 10 to 15 times. Then pull the long tail through the loop, pull on the short tail tightening the knot and trim both tails. Separate the 16 strings into 4 groups. You can use tape to keep the divisions together. For each group, make 22 spiral stitch knots. They are very similar to the square knots. The only difference is that you make the square knot starting from the same side every time. So to do this, hold the middle part straight, bring the left cord over the 2 middle cords and under the right, pull the right cord under the middle cords and through the number 4 created. Start again from the left side. Once you finish your 22 knots, do the same for each group. Then leave between 5 to 10 centimeters space and make 2 square knots on each group. Then leave 5 to 10 centimeters space again and make another 22 spiral stitch knots on each group. Then leave about 10 centimeters space and make 1 alternating square knot, so using 2 right cords from one group and 2 left cords from the group right next to it. This is a good time to place your pot in the macrame to see how many more alternating square knots you will need. I didn't do that and I made 3 rows of alternating square knots, leaving 5 centimeters between each row. But in the end, that part was too long for the pot I will be using, so I untied the last row, leaving only 2 rows of alternating square knots. Then leave about 4 to 5 centimeters space and make a gathering knot with the 1 meter cord and wrap it around 15 times.
Cut the top part of the knot, and you can leave the bottom part because it blends in with the rest of the cords. Cut the bottom cords to your liking, place the pot inside the macrame, and that completes our final project.
So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and that it inspired you to make some handmade gifts. Let me know which one your favorite was in the comments down below. Personally, I love how the Christmas tree and the macrame with a plant turned out. So yeah, let me know which one you like the most, and don't forget to like this video if you did like it, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like DIY projects, because there's a lot more to come. So have a wonderful Christmas and New Year's if you're celebrating. If you're not celebrating, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one next year. Bye!